Hello, everyone. This is Yeshua said my name, YSMN. Thank you for joining this live chat. I hope that most of you are able to attend. Tonight's topics are simply to fill maybe an hour to an hour and a half worth of time, simply so that we can chat. Even though the video that you are watching is recorded, the chat, however, is live. So I will be interacting with you all live in the chat. So please join in live. The reason I'm resorting to more of a live chat session rather than live stream is because I've had technical difficulties lately with my computer, and every time I attempt a live stream, it gives me an issue. So I'm going to troubleshoot those issues with my sons, who have a lot more tech savvy ability than I do. So even though the video you are watching was filmed earlier today, the chat itself is live. So we are live together in the chat room, even though this has been filmed. So thank you for joining in. I did a poll a few weeks ago asking what would be the best time for everyone to join into a live chat. And basically everyone said, the majority was saying between 4 and 7 p.m. So I'm trying to keep the live chats between 4 and 7 p.m. Once or twice a week. So hopefully you're able to join in. If not, maybe I'll do an occasional live chat during the day for those of you who live in a different part of the globe, or the timing might be better for you. So just let me know, maybe again, like what time would be best for you to join in. Some people say they miss it due to work schedules or of course the time zone around the world. I'm going to be getting into different subjects, I think, that could create a very interesting hour or so of conversation during our live chat. I wanted to recap a little bit of yesterday's video. I delve into the Jesuit order, the Vatican, the papacy, family bloodlines, which are the 13 family bloodlines, Freemasonry, the New World Order. We have the Bilderberg Conference that we discussed, and I had this up on the on my background here for a while so that you all could see this. But we were discussing the Jesuit oath that is still in the Library of Congress today. We were discussing the Vatican papal dynasty and how it's revealed in Daniel and Revelation. We were discussing the family bloodlines, the Bilderberg Conference. If you missed yesterday's video, we were discussing Freemasonry, exposing it. And again, I'll be reading excerpts for you from a very credible source exposing Freemasonry, and even telling you how many people have come forward to express that to me, how they've left and they're exposing it, and how all of this comes together for what is known as a beast New World Order system. So if you missed that video yesterday, please take a look at it. There's a lot that was discussed. Actually, it was a recap yesterday for those who are new to these subjects. I've had people write me and state that a lot of the subjects that are talked about on this channel are a little bit above maybe what they're knowledgeable about. So anyway, most of the people that subscribe here understand what is going on, at least moderately, with these things. But for those who are new to these topics with the New World Order and the beast system and the elites and so forth. Yesterday's video was kind of like a recap for those who are new or beginners to understanding these things and how all of this is playing into end times prophecy as God wrote about it in his word. Other topics we will be discussing today that I hope cause a lot of conversation here that we can all share in and express our opinions in and fellowship in. We will be talking about D-Wave system computers. What is a D-Wave computer? How, exactly how does it operate? Is it better than a quantum computer? Who is the operator of D-Wave computers, and what are they attempting to do? And we'll be getting into that. We'll be getting into, believe it or not, I want to start off, first of all, I saw a news article out yesterday that I thought was newsworthy to speak of today, especially when exposing the occult practices in this world. This is called the world's largest Ouija board. All set up to summon the world's largest spirits. So apparently there's been the world's largest Ouija board set up to summon spirits. And for those of you who do not understand the occult or pagan practices, Ouija boards, you can buy a lot of them as games, believe it or not, in Walmart or a department store. They're not taken seriously, and yet Satan uses them as avenues for demonic spirits to communicate with you. And I know this from firsthand experience. I had a relative in my family who the Lord delivered from that. This was many, many, many decades ago, and this person used the deliverance as a testimony in her life to not only how real the Ouija boards are, but how demonic they are, and how Satan will indeed use them. And this person, her testimony lives on to this day in my life, and I've been using her testimony with my children and so forth. But the world's largest Ouija board, all set to summon the world's largest spirits. And I'll put a link down in the description section for you so you can look this up yourself. But it says here, in this article here, and this is coming from the Confessional, world's largest Ouija board, and it shows a picture here of it. If you want to summon some really big spirits, you're going to need a really big Ouija board, it says. The world's largest Ouija board, in fact. On October the 12th, 2019, the aptly titled Ouija-zilla, a 9,000-pound Ouija board, was unveiled in no less than spooky Salem, Massachusetts. A 3,168 square feet Ouija-zilla has more square footage than any houses and includes a planchette over 15 feet long. The enormous Ouija board was crafted as a labor of love, they say, by creator Rick or Mortis Shrek, a tattoo artist and avid collector of Ouija boards, including some totally not creepy boards made out of human bone. So this man created this Ouija board, this largest ever world's Ouija board, and he's even been known to create games and Ouija boards out of human bones. Now, how is this any different than the papacy or the Vatican system for years, collecting relics of people's bones and dead bodies and carrying them around in vials or placing them under glass cases in the Vatican catacombs? There's no difference. But he's obviously, what he says here, a tattoo artist, an avid collector of Ouija boards, including some totally made out of human bone. While Ouija-zilla itself is made out of a good old plywood, its giant size has well earned it the title of the world's largest Ouija board, and would very well lead to Salem, home of the famous Salem witch trials, getting a whole lot more haunted. Check out some of the details, and it shows here unleashing the Ouija-zilla, the world's largest Ouija board, constructed of 99 individual sheets of plywood. And here's a picture of it here that you can see. These people are standing around this large Ouija board here. And it's just, amazing how open this world system is nowadays to the occult and pagan rituals. Nobody hides anything any longer, if you've noticed. But this is the picture, and I'll put a link down in the description section for you. They're all standing around this Ouija board, moving it. One of my sons, to give a testimony to you, had a friend who had a Ouija board, and he was witnessing to this friend. I'm not going to give out names because I'm sure my family watches these videos, but one of my sons had a friend who had a Ouija board, and he was in the basement one time, and he told his friend, please put that away, because if you continue to keep it out, I'm going to have to leave. I'm a Christian, and I know this stuff is very real, and I don't want to get involved in it. Well, of course, the friend didn't take him seriously, and my son got up and left, which I was proud of him for. And this is when he was back in high school. The son that was involved is now married and for a year now. So this took place several years ago when he was in high school. But he left. Well, he went back another day, and the Ouija board itself was not out. But in the basement, when my son and his friend who owned the Ouija board and his friend's sister and a couple other friends were in the basement simply talking, they heard a voice speak people's names out loud in the basement. And my son Michael said, who was that and who said that? Well, no one in the room had spoken. Things on a bookshelf started flying around, my son said. A voice kept speaking people's names, and my son said, I got out of there, and my son spoke to to his friend's parents and told them what was going on, and the parents burned the Ouija board in the backyard when they found out that it was in the house. Apparently their two children had the Ouija board in the house, and the parents knew nothing about it. So my son informed the parents, and the parents burned the Ouija board. Now, whether or not demonic things are still happening in this person's house, I do not know. However, there are testimonies like this that my sons have experienced with other kids when they were in high school, that the kids would go to Walmart or Kmart or Target or wherever, or order them off Amazon and just play them thinking that it's no big deal, and then demonic things begin to happen in their homes. My sister and I, when we were in junior high school, thanks to my mother raising me to understand that the paganism and the occult is very real. So this is a testimony to my mother, who passed away on August 28th. This is a testimony to how she raised me and how she raised our family to understand these things and pay attention to them. My sister and I were spending the night. We had a similar experience at a friend's house when we were in junior high school. And this group of girls decided to light a candle in the middle of the room. They got in a big circle, they held hands, and they began to do a seance. Well, I'm thinking, oh, whatever. They're just joking around, and I wasn't comfortable with it, but I was this close to, I was probably maybe 10, 11 years old at the time, to waking my sister up, who was sleeping in a sleeping bag and on the other side of the room. And I thought to myself, okay, if this goes any farther, we need to get out of here. Well, sure enough, some strange things started happening in the room, and one of the girls started lifting off the floor. So I ran over, woke my sister up, and said, we got to get out of here. So we went home that evening. My mother wondered why we were home from the sleepover. We explained it to her. So these things really do go on. And people believe they are spiritual, that they're, I'm a spiritual person. No, what you're doing is you're tapping into the demonic world. You're tapping into these interdimensional beings that are evil and that serve Satan. So my son, like I said, had that experience with his friend in the basement. And after he said a voice was speaking their names out loud, things started flying off shelves, and my son got out of there. And he explained to his friend, you should have nothing to do with it. My son spoke to the parents, and they burned the Ouija board. Like I said, I shared with you my experience with my sister that we had at our sleepover, where they were having a seance and things started happening, and I woke my sister up and we left the room. So when I saw this article come out on the confessional here, and it says here, Unleashing Ouijazilla, the world's largest Ouija board. And for those of you who are just joining this live chat, we're discussing multiple topics here. One of the first topics I'm discussing is dealing with an article that was released last month concerning the world's largest Ouija board. And here's a picture of this. And if you're just joining the chat, they're proud of this, and they're trying to summon demonic spirits. Ouija boards are sold in, you can buy them off Amazon. You can buy them in any toy section, basically, of any store. And I've been sharing examples of testimonies of people that have tried to witness to people that were involved with Ouija boards and to stay away from them. So it says here, it's constructed of 99 individual sheets of plywood, clocking in at approximately 9,000 pounds and measuring 3,168 square feet. Ripley's, believe it or not, would like to introduce you to Ouijazilla and its curious creator, Rick or Mortis Schreck. Well, Mortis, of course, that's dealing with, bodies and corpses. And of course, he makes games and Ouija boards. Apparently, the creator of this world's largest Ouija board makes games out of human bones. I mean, that's just demonic. The man behind the madness, Rick Schreck, the vice president of the Talking Board Historical Society and New Jersey-based tattoo artist, has been laboring for the past year, working to surpass the 2016 record holder, the Grand Midway Hotel in Woodbury, Pennsylvania, for the world's largest Ouija board. Aptly named Ouijazilla, this gargantuan board was unveiled on October 12, 2019, in the heart of the Salem Common. The hand-painted wooden board and accompanying planchette are modeled after the original Parker Brothers glow-in-the-dark Ouija board, minus a few of Rick's personal embellishments. So it talks about Rick's history, the creator's history of this world's largest Ouija board. It shows the people here crafting this Ouija board. These people are in darkness, and we need to be praying for these people that are caught up in the occult and that are caught up in this darkness, that they come out of it. This is just, they think they're being spiritual. Well, we're contacting spirits and relatives, and no, you're contacting the dead and trying and evil spirits. Actually, it is my personal belief that demonic spirits, and I haven't delved into this in a while, that demonic spirits are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants that walked on the earth. And the Nephilim is a subject that I've spoken of in the past. It's been several months since I've done a video on the Nephilim. However, if you want a more updated version of it, Brother L.A. Marzulli does a lot on the Nephilim giants, exposing them. So if you want to take a look at Brother L.A. Marzulli's channel, he does a lot in exposing those things. As a matter of fact, I would love to collaborate with L.A. Marzulli because he's a Christian brother, and he and I, agree on this UFO alien phenomena, what it really is. We have the same opinions on those things. We have the same opinions on the Nephilim giants and the demonic spirits being the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. So maybe I'll send him an email or contact him and see if we cannot collaborate or something. I'm sure he's a very busy man. But if you haven't checked out L.A. Marzulli's site, check it out. He really is, an authority on that kind of a thing. He's even visited what's called the Serpent Mound and done excerpts on that. I hopefully would love to one day, if you would join me in prayer, visit the Georgia Guidestones and report from there live, or not live, I'm sorry, but report from there for you, and show you in person the Georgia Guidestones and how this is all what the New World Order and the global cabal wants to do with this global system. So I would love to be able to expose that for you in person on location. Maybe one day go to the Serpent Mound. I would love to go to the Vatican one day and actually take a tour and use my phone and show you guys all the pagan symbology. But I'm praying about this. I'm saving for this, hopefully to do this one day. This is a dream God has put on my heart that hopefully one day I will be able to do. So I'm leaving it in God's hands. My mantra is, if it is God's will, we will do this or do that, as the scripture says. It is boastful to say, I will do this or that. We should say, if God wills, I will do this or do that. So anyway, hopefully, my dream, I'm just rambling here. I would love to go on location eventually within the next year or two and start advancing beyond simply just doing videos in my home, but, having interviews, collaborating with people. I'd love to travel on site to different locations and bring you information firsthand and get behind the scenes for you and show you what is going on in this world system. That is my passion and that is my dream, and it's all for the glory of God. So it says here, unusual craftsman. When collecting just wasn't enough, Rick began creating his own talking boards to increase his chances of communicating with the other side. And he even said he used unconventional materials, listen to this, like animal and human bone, human hair, and even human ashes. This is completely relic usage. It's no different, like I stated before, what the Vatican papal system does when they carry around vials of, dead popes' blood, or they encase dead popes in glass cases in the Vatican catacombs. There's all kinds of creepy necromancy and relic stuff going on. There are churches that there are pictures of online in Europe, Catholic churches, where the churches are literally, when you go into the sanctuary, they're made up of bones, human bones, all across Europe. Look this up if you doubt it. Google it. When you walk into their churches, speaking of relics, there are human bones lining these churches and the altars and things like that. But yet we read about people doing this, making Ouija boards out of human bones and human parts, and we think, oh, how pagan, how evil. But yet, doesn't the Catholic Church do the same thing when they carry around vials of blood or an old saint's finger, or encase popes in glass cases and things like that? How is that any different? I ask you. So, it says here in this article, and I'll put the link down for you. Of course, it shouldn't shock me anymore in the world system we're living in. I can't wait till Christ returns and puts an end to all this garbage. When collecting just wasn't enough, meaning materials, Rick began creating his own talking boards to increase his chances of communicating with the other side, which I believe are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. So, again, Nephilim giants have been excavated. their skeletons, their bones. There's actually been stories of Nephilim who were in Kandahar. There are stories of U.S. soldiers in Kandahar that actually came across what's called the Kandahar Giant. So you could look into information about that as well if you haven't heard about that. The Kandahar Giant, look it up. So apparently this man using this Ouijazilla is using human bone, animal bone, human hair, and human ashes. Taking it to the next level, Rick revealed to us that real witches used boards crafted from the lids of coffins. Unable to find a true talking board made from this material, he has taken matters into his own hands. Inside the walls of his New Jersey tattoo shop lives a vintage black coffin that Rick plans to dismantle to create his dream talking board. Apparently, he's collected over 300 boards. It says here, a board of phenomenal proportions. Construction of the Ouijazilla began in June 2018. Like I said, it weighs over 9,000 pounds. And it says here, it says here, will the world's largest Ouija board summon the world's largest spirits? Is this huge paranormal project cool or creepy? Discuss it with us in the comments. Well, I believe that it's demonic, it's satanic, and people that are sadly misled by following these things truly believe that they are spiritual. And what they are doing is they're trying to summon the dead, which the Lord forbids in the scriptures, that we are not to summon the dead. This is necromancy. That we are not to use relics of the dead. This is unclean. Okay, and this is what the Vatican papal system is doing. And if you doubt this, research the Vatican catacombs and how they keep dead popes mummified and embalmed in glass cases, dead saints and things like that, fingers and vials of blood. How's it any different than what these people are doing here in crafting, using human remains and bones to create this world's largest Ouija board? So again, for those of you who are just joining, we're talking about the world's largest Ouija board that was created. And the article goes on to explain many different things, how big it is, why they're doing it. It talks about the creator. He's using human parts, animal parts to create this. I got into, if you're just joining, talking about how I believe these spirits they are trying to summon are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants. L.A. Marzulli, brother L.A. Marzulli goes into this in his website quite a bit, along with exposing the UFO alien phenomena. He goes into the Nephilim and where they came from, and I believe all of this is connected from Genesis chapter 6, okay? Nephilim were often recognized for red hair, 6 fingers, and 6 toes. It talks about how the Lord would send armies of Israel in to wipe out whole groups of people, not because God was some sadistic, evil God, but because these were corrupt. They were Nephilim. They were disrupting the human genome, disrupting human DNA, and God sent them in to take that out. That's why the flood came. God said all flesh had corrupted itself on the earth. Back according to Genesis chapter 6, this fleshly corruption was going on. And as it was in the days of Noah, so it is today. We see the same genetic manipulation going on with these UFO abductions, which are none other than fallen angels doing, extracting human DNA and working with human DNA, like in the days of Noah, as Christ stated. Ecclesiastes tells us there's nothing new under the sun. What has been will be again. In other words, these things come in cycles. What was going on in Genesis chapter 6 is going on again today. Okay, this is nothing new. We are simply living in a time to see all this come to pass in our generation. Okay, but I wanted to bring, I'll put a link down to this article for you, to the world's largest Ouija board. I found it extremely disgusting, but also it presented me with an opportunity, I feel, to give you a witness of what my son encountered in his friend's basement. And how he witnessed to his friend about getting rid of the Ouija board, how when they were all down there together, they heard voices speaking everyone's names, things started flying off shelves and things like that, and eventually the Ouija board was burned because my son spoke to the parents about it. We've had relatives come into our home to visit, and again, I won't name names because I know family members watch this channel. Good. But what I want to say is that when anyone tries to come into my house, if they turn anything on, like ghost hunters or anything demonic or whatever, I'll take the remote, or my husband will take the remote and say, we're not going to have that on in our house. I'm sorry. We're not opening up a door to any of that. So what you do in your home is your business. We're not having that in our home. So you can open up a door quickly to that. So for those of you who are just joining the chat, I explained an article about the world's largest Ouija board, gave you the description of what's going on, the creator of it, how he's using animal and human remains to create this thing. We discussed the Nephilim giants, the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants. I gave testimony of myself, one of my sons, that dealt with demonic situations that we witnessed to people about and got out of those situations. So if you're just joining the live chat, once this is over, you can backtrack and go back and listen to those things. Now, for another conversation piece during this live chat, I wanted to discuss D-Wave quantum computing. Now, about a year ago, it's possibly a year ago, I did a couple of videos on the D-Wave quantum computers. There's a lot to cover with D-Wave quantum computers. And basically, these quantum computers are doing what I believe CERN is doing, capital C-E-R-N, CERN. They are trying to delve into different dimensions. And for those of you who may not know this, I mean, a lot of you do, we live in different dimensions, okay? There's the spiritual dimension, there's the physical dimension, there are dimensions of light that are not visible to the human eye, sound waves that can only be heard, by animals even. So there are things that exist that just because we simply cannot see them or hear them does not mean those dimensions do not exist. And what CERN and these D-Wave quantum computers are trying to do is delve into those dimensions and open them up. It almost reminds me of the prophecy. Now, this is an opinion about what I'm about to tell you. This is just an opinion on my part, okay? Where it states in Revelation that God gave the great angel a key to the abyss and set loose, Abaddon, and it almost makes me wonder, like, are these D-Wave computers and is CERN being used as a tool to release these demonic spirits into the world? Are these people using D-Wave technology and D-Wave computers to tap into these different dimensions and some of these demonic spirits? Who knows? I'll put a link down in the description section for you about D-Wave computing. If you're not familiar with D-Wave computing, it's taking quantum computing to a totally different level. And the creator of the D-Wave computers, for those of you who are new to this, even stated in a conference on YouTube that I watched that they're actually meeting entities. And now he's beginning to worry, like he's opened up a Pandora's box, okay? So he actually mentioned that we're running into entities that we can't control. And ever since they started this D-Wave quantum computing. So I'll put down the link to this quantum computing website for you in the description section. I'm also going to be getting into actually the man who started the quantum computing system, and let me get you his name here. It's a privately held company. It was founded 20 years ago. Headquarters, Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada. The key people are Vern Bronwell is the CEO and Geordie Rose is the founder. Now, Geordie Rose, spelled Geordie, Rose, is the founder, and he's the one who gave a video interview explaining how they're tapping into these different dimensions, and they have encountered entities by using these D-Wave computers, if you're new to this. So the founder is Geordie Rose. Says D-Wave Systems Inc. is a Canadian quantum computing company based in Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada. D-Wave was the world's first company to sell computers to exploit quantum effects in their operation. Now, D-Wave is actually, and it's a lot to get into here, guys, but Summing it up for you, D-Wave technology takes quantum computing to a whole different level. It takes it to a higher level, okay? And it's almost, to me, reminds me, and this is just my opinion, of what CERN is doing, trying to tap into different dimensions, okay? In 2015, D-Wave's 2x quantum computer with more than 1,000 qubits were installed at the Quantum Artificial Intelligence Lab at NASA, Ames Research Center. They have subsequently shipped systems with 2,048 qubits. In 2019, D-Wave announced a 5,000 qubit system available by mid-2020 using their new Pegasus chip with 15 connections per qubit. Now I have some, and I'll put a link down in the description section for you. Actually, there are 2 links I'll give you for the D-Wave computers, Jordy Rose being the founder, and information on D-Wave computing. Now I want to show you a couple of pictures of these D-Wave computers and what they look like. Let me see if I can get a good picture of this here for you. Okay, here we are. These D-Wave computers, this is basically what they look like. They are taking quantum mechanics and quantum computers to a whole different level, these D-Wave computers, but you could look up pictures online of D-Wave computers, D-Wave technology, and exactly, I believe, how it's being used, to access different dimensions. If you go to the CERN website, which I feel is extremely similar to using these D-Wave computers or quantum technologies, the CERN website, its logo has the 666 on it. So if you notice that in the upper corner here, right here, the 666 CERN logo, CERN is literally trying to smash into different dimensions. Now, I believe D-Wave computers are taking it even higher than what CERN is doing. Jordy Rose has stated they've even encountered entities, and now they're worried, like they've opened Pandora's box. What do we do now? So I wanted to cover for those of you who are just joining the live stream, the world's largest Ouija board that was ever constructed. This is from the confessional, and I'll put a link down for you in the description section so you can look it up. It's called Ouijazilla, Unleashing the World's Largest Ouija Board. So if those of you who are just joining, they're going to unleash this, or they've already unleashed this, but it's the world's largest Ouija board. And they truly believe that they are doing something good and spiritual by reaching out to these demonic spirits. And of course, I believe these demonic spirits are none other, for those of you who are just joining, than the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants. The Nephilim giants are recognized for 6 fingers, 6 toes. As a matter of fact, a little bit of history for you here, a little bit of trivia for you. You know that old adage, speaking of giants and 6 fingers and 6 toes. Remember how when you were growing up in grade school and people would discuss with you, you'd play cowboys and Indians as a child, maybe. I mean, I know I did. And you'd go, how? And you hold up your hand. If you were saying how to somebody, it meant, you thought you were saying hello or you were greeting someone. Well, the reason that an Indian at that time would raise up their hand and say how was to make sure that the person they were talking to in the land didn't have 6 fingers, because they knew that a lot of the inhabitants of the land were Nephilim, and if they had 6 fingers when they raised up their hand to say hello, they wanted to stay as far away from them as possible. There are stories about, so that's just a little bit of trivial history for you there. There are stories about the Kandahar giant. Speaking of the Nephilim, there are servicemen that have come out and give testimonies of what's called the Kandahar giant. Apparently this man was like 12 feet tall, lived in a cave in Kandahar, had red hair, 6 fingers, 6 toes. And there are people that have given interviews, muffling their voices and blurring faces and stuff, giving interviews about this Kandahar giant. Now remember, the Lord told us, as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the coming of the Son of Man. I believe this UFO alien phenomena delves heavily into the mixture again of mixing their seed with the seed of men. I believe that there are DNA experiments going on between these interdimensional entities, just as it was prophesied as in the days of Noah. Ecclesiastes tells us there is nothing new under the sun. No one can say, look, here is something new. What is done will be done again. Okay, so I truly believe that these Nephilim giants are, still in the earth today, and maybe not as prevalent as they were back in Genesis chapter 6, but it states that in the book of Genesis, even after the flood, that Nephilim DNA line reappeared in the world again. Okay, to mix their seed with the seed of men and corrupt the human genome, corrupt human DNA. And I believe that these interdimensional entities, this UFO phenomena, is all about that. And Jesus prophesied these things would be happening as in the days of Noah, that the powers and principalities of the heavens would be shaken. Okay, these powers and principalities are these interdimensional beings. And it states that Satan is the prince of the powers of the air. So what we are seeing here is what was taking place back in Genesis chapter 6, as in the days of Noah. You're living in those times. Okay? So, again, if you want, it's been a while since I've done videos on Nephilim giants and their characteristics, and why they were created in Genesis chapter 6. But if you want a really good source to go to, Brother L.A. Marzulli, for those of you who are just joining, has done a lot of extensive research on the UFO alien phenomena, on the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, which I do believe are the demons that we call demons today. He has gone to Serpent Mound and done research, the Georgia Guidestones and such. I myself would love to do that one day, to go to these sites and actually give my own commentary, filming for you on location one day. And that is my dream that I'm praying for, that God would open doors for me to do that, so that I can go on location and begin to take this channel for you on location and show you, okay, from an average person just going to these sites and showing you what this global beast New World Order system is all about. So if God wills it, that will happen. So I thank you for praying for me in that endeavor. Hopefully it will. But I wanted to share, again, like I said, this Ouija boards you can buy in any store. You can go on Amazon and buy them. They're in any toy section. They're demonic. So this building of this world's largest Ouija board, I just thought was worth creating a conversation piece in the comment section during this live chat that we're having this evening. So, put your comments down below. Give a testimony if you've dealt with it in the comments down below, and I'll put a link down in the description section for you. Maybe you've known someone who has come out of using Ouija boards. Like I stated earlier, for those of you who are just joining, they're building the world's largest Ouija board in Massachusetts, and I'll put a link down in the description section for you if you're just joining. There's pictures on the website of this Ouija board. One of my sons had a friend whose sister was involved with using it, and he tried to tell his friends, don't use this, it's demonic, there's nothing good about it, and his friends didn't put it away, so my son left. Well, he came back another day, the Ouija board was not out, and during their time together, and I'm reiterating this for those of you who are just joining, my son heard voices in his friend's house calling everyone's name, by name. Things started flying off shelves and things like that, and my son got out of there. Well, what my son found interesting is that these demonic spirits, because there was a Ouija board in his friend's house, these demonic spirits knew these boys' names. They were calling each of those boys by their names. Isn't that interesting? So if you don't think the enemy knows your name, if you don't think this spiritual battle is just as real and tangible as the physical realm, think again. Satan knows your weak spots. He knows tactics and devices and temptations to use against you. Okay? He knows your name. These demonic spirits in my son's friend's house were speaking each of these kids' names. So it's, and it's a very real phenomena. So if you're involved in the occult, if you're involved with Ouija boards, please get out of it. What you are doing is you are summoning interdimensional evil entities that serve Satan. Okay? You are not summoning your dead relatives You're not more spiritual because of it. You are listening to doctrines taught by demons. Okay? You are practicing doctrines taught by demons. You are contacting the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Okay? These Nephilim giants, when they died, their spirits, it's said by the Lord, were to wander the earth. And most of these demonic spirits, like when Jesus would heal a demoniac or something, the one that was hiding in a graveyard and the Lord delivered him, the Lord gave countless stories about how these spirits wander the earth, and especially arid and dry places, looking for another house to live in, meaning either a person or an animal. And some of them can be thousands of demons at one time inhabiting someone. Like when Christ delivered that man, he said he asked the demons their name, and they said, "Our name is Legion." So it literally, these demonic spirits walk the earth, and they are the disembodied spirits of these Nephilim giants. And again, a good source, if you're just joining, to understand the Nephilim phenomena is Brother L.A. Marzulli's website, and also his YouTube channel. I was thinking about contacting him. I would love to start collaborating with other people, other Christian people who understand scripturally and from a biblical viewpoint what this alien UFO phenomena is all about, what the Nephilim giants are, where they came from, and why they were produced by Satan. Okay? I would love to collaborate with people on that. So pray for me as I reach out to people. Hopefully that will begin to happen. I'd love to go on location and start reporting for you from different sites, if the Lord wills. And I always say if it is his will, because many are the plans in a man's heart. Many are the plans in my heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail for me, not what I think I may plan. So thank you for praying for me in that dream and in that endeavor, but it all comes down to what God has in store for me. Also, another topic I want to discuss in this live chat that we're enjoying is I brought up in a couple videos ago, I brought up to you a book that I thought was noteworthy in exposing Freemasonry for what it really is. And men that are trapped in this system, they believe that they're being led to the light. And what saddens me is they're really in the darkness. If you have Jesus and you're a Christian man and you say you know Jesus and that you're a Christian, why do you need any other source to lead you to the light if Christ himself is the light? If you claim I'm a born-again Christian, I attend church, I follow Christ, I preach the gospel, but I need Freemasonry to guide me to the light, well, then why do you need Christ? Jesus said, I am the light of the world, and whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So if you claim to be a Christian, but practice the occult craft practices of Freemasonry, stating that that is what is giving you the light, your relationship with Christ is in conflict. So I highly recommend this book here from Tom McKenney, the 33rd Degrees of Deception. If you haven't read it, it is written by a born-again Christian. He was a master Mason, a high-ranking Mason, and he writes this book with respect. So even if you are heavily into Freemasonry and you doubt what I'm saying on this channel about Freemasonry, I'm encouraging you, what do you have to lose by purchasing this book and simply reading what this man has to say as a former Freemason? And he's coming from a Christian point of view. But my challenge to you is, if you are a Freemason, or if you are a woman and you're caught in the Eastern Star, if you claim Christ as your Savior and your Lord and your light and your only way, which you may, then why would you need Eastern occult practices from the Order of the Eastern Star or the Masonic Order to guide you, quote unquote, to the light? You are trying to sit at the table of occult practices and at the table of Christ at the same time. Jesus is either all sufficient for you to lead you to understanding what you need to know, or he is not. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. He never said Freemasonry was the light of the world. Was Jesus a Freemasonic person? Could you invite Jesus to go to a Masonic lodge with you? It's just amazing to me. It's either Freemasonry or it's Christ. Which is it? I want to read you a couple excerpts. Like I said, this is just for chat. on this live chat. I just wanted to bring some of these subjects up to you during this live chat this week that I thought were very interesting and worth talking about. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying yourself. I'm hoping you're enjoying these topics. For those of you who are just joining in, we were actually discussing the world's largest Ouija board that has ever been constructed. And I'll end this video showing you the picture again of that Ouija board so you can see what it looks like. And I'll put a link down in the description section for you so you can look up the article about this. They're calling it Ouijazilla. And it's actually made out of human bone, human and animal bone, hair, and human ashes. That's how disgusting this is. But it's been released in Massachusetts, and it's called the world's largest Ouija board. We've also been discussing D-Wave quantum computing and how my opinions on it, how I believe D-Wave quantum computers are actually a step above quantum mechanic computers, and how they are trying to access these entities. Geordie Rose, who was the founder of the D-Wave computer, actually stated and admitted on YouTube that they're running into entities. And he almost feels like he's opened Pandora's box. This is exactly what Geordie Rose has stated, the founder of the D-Wave computer technology. So for those of you who are just joining, we've discussed these two topics. I've given a couple testimonies about Ouija boards. And now I want to mention a couple things here from this book to tweak your interest in possibly purchasing it or perusing it if you're thinking about joining Freemasonry, or maybe you want to come out of it and don't know how, or maybe you are heavily involved in it and disagree with everything I'm saying on this channel about Freemasonry. But what do you have to lose by simply purchasing this book, which was written very respectfully, and simply reading what it has to say? What do you have to lose? I mean, that's my only challenge. I want to read an excerpt for you from this book, 33rd Degree of Deception, and it's actually quoting Manly P. Hall, Manly Palmer Hall. The late Manly Palmer Hall was a 33rd degree Mason, the quintessential Masonic mystic, and an internationally renowned occultist. He is the one who wrote that a Mason, quote, has the seething energies of Lucifer in his hand. His pronouncements, like those of Albert Pike, have been prominent in the ongoing debates over the true nature of Masonry. So let me repeat that again. Manly Hall stated that he has the seething energies of Lucifer in his hand. And his pronouncements, like those of Albert Pike, have been prominent in the ongoing debates over the true nature of Freemasonry. He has not been denounced nor decried by Masonic officialdom. Rather, he has been publicly praised and has received Masonry's highest honors. Upon Manly Hall's death in 1990, he was given a glowing tribute in the New Age/Scottish Rite Journal. New Age Scottish Rite Journal. And interestingly, the tribute to Manly Hall included concurrent praise for Albert Pike. And of course, Albert Pike praised Lucifer as well. So, you know, it's interesting here that, and I've done videos before for you on quotes of famous Freemasons that have praised Lucifer, and Masons will come out and say, oh, that's simply taken out of context. That's not true. Well, how do you explain this away where Manly Hall said that he is the one who wrote that a Mason, meaning any Mason, has the seething energies of Lucifer in his hand. And Albert Pike is noted for praising Lucifer in his Morals and Dogma book. I have letters, people, from gentlemen that have sent me in my P.O. box inside information of things that they were learning at the higher degrees, and God called them out and opened up their eyes of understanding. They've asked me not to share their names, okay, so I'm not going to do that. They simply wanted it to be a private testimony, so that's what I'm doing. And maybe it was just for my benefit from the Lord being given to me to let me know that I'm doing the right thing by exposing Freemasonry, you know, kind of like a confirmation from the Lord by these gentlemen writing me, which I really appreciate. But you know, I've had too many confirmations, guys. There's been too many things God has put in my path that if you are involved in Freemasonry, you are in darkness. You're not in light. So if you have Christ and you claim to be a Freemason, and you claim that Christ is your only way and your only light, then why would you need Masonry to guide you to the light? What light are you being guided to? Are you being guided to the Luciferian doctrine, that light of Prometheus? Is that what you're being guided to? A higher enlightenment, an apotheosis of sorts, like on the Washington Rotunda, where it shows George Washington on the Rotunda of DC. And if you look up on the ceiling, it says the apotheosis of George Washington. And he has his Masonic apron on. Apotheosis means the rising to divinity of man. That's what apotheosis means. Okay? This enlightenment that Freemasonry is trying to give you is what Satan tried to lie to Adam and Eve about in the garden, that you will be divine. You will be like gods. This is what this occult practice of Freemasonry is all about, guys. Okay? There is one God, there is one creator, and you aren't it. Okay? So it's either Jesus Christ as your Lord, your Master, your Savior, your light, and your only way, or it is the God of Freemasonry, which is the Luciferian doctrine, teaching men that you can become like gods, or become gods, become divine, and that eventually you will have an apotheosis of your own. And look up this rotunda of George Washington, where it shows him wearing the Masonic apron, and it says the apotheosis of George Washington on the ceiling of the rotunda. This has been the secret occult knowledge lie, this torch of Prometheus lie that has been handed down from Lucifer ever since the Garden of Eden. Okay, so that is why I make these videos. It's not because if you're a Mason, I don't like you, or I think ill of you. You might be a very good and giving person. I'm not trying to speak hateful here. I'm concerned that people come out. I'm concerned that people come out. And it is either Masonry is your guide to light, or it's either Jesus himself is your guide to light. Which is it? Christ will accept no rivalries, guys. It's either Christ or it's Masonry. He's not going to accept a rival. Choose you this day whom you will serve. So, all I'm asking you to do, no matter where you stand on Masonry, you may be interested in it. You may want to come out. You may be heavily involved in it and think, oh, Yeshua said my name's crazy. Well, I don't care what you think of me, because I'm going to continue to speak the truth anyway. But because I'm not persuaded by trolling comments and by what people think of me on this channel. I could care less, because I'm doing what God has called me to do, and it's before his judgment seat that I stand or fall, not yours. But what do you have to lose by simply looking up this book? Okay, that is written by a Christian man who is a high-ranking Freemason, and it is written with respect. It is not written in anger and hate. It is written with respect. What do you have to lose? So it doesn't cost much, guys, to simply research both sides of the story. Okay. For those of you who are just joining the live chat, we've spent almost an hour here discussing. I'm hoping you've enjoyed this. I'm intending on trying to do a live chat at least once a week, hopefully on Friday evenings, because that's when everybody begins their weekends. I've had some people explain to me, though, that the evenings aren't good for them. I did a poll a few weeks ago, actually, where most people stated that between the hours Eastern Daylight Time of the U.S., between 4 and 7 p.m. was the best time for them to join in a live stream or a live chat. So that's why I've been doing them in the evenings. However, I will do, for those of you who have different time zones or maybe different work schedules, if you'd like a live chat from time to time during the daytime, I can do that as well. Because I want to make sure that we can all fellowship and get to know one another better, because you all are my family here. You honestly are. I admit to you, I do not belong to a church home or a church denomination. The fellowship I have on this channel. I feel like every denomination I have tried to get involved with has either been ecumenical, will not confront false doctrine coming into the churches, whether it's Jesuit teachings, whether it's Freemasonic orders creeping in and recruiting other men and women. None of it's being confronted, and I believe it's due to the 501c3 gag orders that are on these churches. And to be honest with you, I'm so disgusted, literally, with leadership in churches that will not confront these things. And it's either because they're part of the system themselves, or they don't want to lose their position and they don't want to rock the boat and create problems and keep their position. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're a leader, your job is to vet the wolves. And if that means you lose half the congregation, then you lose half the congregation. Your job is not about popularity and who likes you, okay? Your job is to spread the truth about what God has called you to do. and then leave your reputation with him. All right, your times are in God's hands. Who cares what man thinks of you? If God has put something on your heart to expose or tackle, do it. It is before our own master that we stand or fall. Don't care what people think of you. Who are they but human beings just like you? So, that's why, all comments are welcome on this channel. However, if they become verbally abusive, if they become insulting, they will get banned. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you're an atheist, a Freemason, a Hindu, a Muslim, a pagan, and you want to come on this channel and share, you're welcome here. I have no problem with that. It's not just only Christians are allowed here. But what I'm asking is if you share, that you do so with respect. Because you will not get a respectful conversation going with me or anyone else on this channel with disrespect and verbal abuse. So I figured I'd put that out. But in ending this video, let me show you again this picture of the world's largest Ouija board that just was released. Let me see here. Okay. And I gave a testimony not only of this, showing this Ouija board here, but also a testimony of how one of my sons was able to witness to a friend of his who had a sister that was involved with Ouija boards. And when the parents found out about it, they actually burned it, which I'm thankful for. They actually burned the Ouija board. But Ouija boards are nothing to mess with, guys. These demonic spirits, these interdimensional beings, are of Satan, and they're the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants. They honestly are. So, I've done videos on the Nephilim, and hopefully I will get back to that again, getting into the Nephilim giants, why they were planted here in this world to corrupt the human genome, the human DNA line. There's a reason why Satan did that back in Genesis chapter 6, and it has to do with the line of the Messiah. It has to do with the line of the Messiah being born into this world. So we've covered the world's largest Ouija board. We've dealt with quantum mechanics and D-Wave computers, and how I believe that this world system is trying to tap into these different dimensions using this technology today. And some entities have been reached, according to Geordie Rose, the D-Wave computer founder. And he even gave a testimony about that as well. Thank you for joining in this live chat. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself this past hour. Hopefully more live chats during the week. I will have live chats periodically during the week, during the day, for those of you who cannot make evening live chats. I've had some of you tell me that, so I'll try and adapt that for you. I've been doing live chats, like I stated in the beginning of this live chat. Maybe you missed this because you're just joining in or you joined in late. I've been doing live chat rather than live stream because I've had technological issues with the computer I'm using doing an actual live stream. So I'm going to have to work on that. So be patient with me and bear with me on that. The video you are watching was taped today. However, the chat we are involved in is live. So until I can work through these technical issues with the live stream, I'm resorting to a live chat right now. So just to explain myself a little bit, because I've had some people ask me, how come you're not doing live streams anymore, just live chats? So that's why I'm working through some technical issues, and I'm not exactly the most tech savvy person in the world, so thanks for bearing with me. But thank you as you pray for me to I'm dreaming big, guys, and I've been praying with all my heart that God would use whatever years I have left in this world for his glory. And that not only would this YouTube channel be used as a platform, but that he would open up doors for me to travel on location to different places where I can expose the serpent, where I can expose the enemy, where I can expose secret societies and expose what is going on behind the scenes. I want to help lift the veil. And when God gives you information and when he opens up the eyes of your heart to understand certain things, you are then given a responsibility. We're not to just take what we're given and hide it under a bushel. Jesus said, what I whisper in your ear, proclaim from the rooftops. And that's what my dream is. So thank you for praying for me. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for sharing these videos, hitting the like button so the algorithm goes up. Pray for me, please, as I seek the Lord on reporting on location. And this is going to take me time to plan and do and save for, okay? This isn't going to happen overnight, but this is a dream I have. So if the Lord wills it, this is my plans for the future. And even collaborating with other people that that we have the same Christian view on as far as the Nephilim and the UFO alien phenomena, etc. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. I've enjoyed this live chat with you. I hope you have too. I always notice when live chat's gone, you all enjoy talking with one another. Relationships are being formed. Exchange emails with one another. Let's get the fellowship going. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. God bless you guys, and more to come soon prophetically.